and welcome to the Tesla Life number 257. Here we are, the 8th of June, 2022. And with me, as always, we have Mr. Casey Green joining us from the DC area. How are you today, sir?
Doing all right. Got a lot going on at home, so I'm surprised we were able to get it done.
You are loaded up today, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
And doing the best you can. I understand that. And of course, this is where I typically would introduce Patrick, but
he says it's stuck at the joining screen.
I don't see where he is.
I don't see him.
Send him a note, say to log off and try again.
All right.
We sent Patrick the link to the other green room, the one that we don't look at.
That's quite a feat, because I just hit reply all.
Oh, man. Well, let's get to our first story while we wait for Patrick to join in with us.
Well, we can say hi to everybody in the chat room. It's full today.
Yeah. We got there. We got Hockey Day, and I saw earlier Derek was in there. Derek was in there at 6:36, and Hockey Day was in at 6:35.
Versus usual. He beat him by a minute.
Man, Hockey Day's in, number one. This week, our first story, I wanted to share a photo with everybody. There's Patrick.
Hello. There were two links in there. The other one didn't work. I was trying the wrong one.
The second one should have been.
We sent you the green room too.
Well, I'm here now.
Very good. We can get going. So I was just about to share a photo with the group. Let me do that now. Share.
All right.
And share the screen. Boom. You guys should be seeing that.
Yeah.
This is Giga Berlin, and this is their second double-decker charger.
What?
And if you remember, we had shown a double-decker charger before that didn't look this good. But this looks like a more permanent structure that they've developed in the parking lot. And
I was very confused by this until I read the article, because I was like,
yeah,
how did the cars drive up those stairs?
So this, of course, is to allow cars to be charged as they come up on the car carrier. So all the cars are loaded on the car carrier first, and then after that, they have the ability to drive up to that structure and be plugged in all at the same time, and the cars charge up to a certain level. They unplug them all, and the cars go off to the dealerships or the galleries for delivery with them all charged. So I'm interested to see why Berlin has done this, but nobody else has. To my knowledge, there are no others that do this. This is just a Berlin thing. So I'm wondering what makes it different that they are doing. Well, this is their second one, so they're obviously enjoying the success of the first one.
Isn't Berlin the smallest finished Gigafactory?
Yeah, but you look at the square footage.
It's still large.
Tons of room. Like this is not because they're pressed to the walls and there's no room anywhere. This is some sort of operational thing that they feel is better. So
or maybe this is the trial site.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
Yeah, you saw how I put that qualifier in, because Nevada is smaller.
Yeah. But this is something kind of different that they're doing, and none of the other Gigafactories are doing. So we'll see if it is a trial and if somebody else will pick it up. But right now, Berlin seems to be the only one.
Maybe the other ones have so many cars leaving that they would need dozens and dozens of these, and so they shuttle them instead to superchargers on the ground. And
maybe they have maybe like they have the feed inside the factory that they could just plug them up, like at the service center. So I was noticing it's got four V3 cabinets. So that's 12. That's 16 chargers right there on the rack that they can do if they wanted to. And then I don't remember how many were on the first one. Probably a similar amount because it looked the same. And
I don't think we had as good of a photo of the first one. It was
That
kind
too.
of a different view of it, so we weren't really sure.
right.
But this one looks a lot more permanent.
Yeah.
So it looks like they're improving on the idea. And
I
as
wonder-
to the other, I know that Giga Texas, they've got on the outside of the building where the vehicles come out, they've got a bank of superchargers that are right up against the building.
yeah.
They were repositioned at one point. But Casey's point, I wonder, are there banks of them inside the factory too? Like, are there places where they charge internally before they're brought out?
I would think so.
At Fremont, there's nothing external. So as far as we know, and they're not pulling them up to the customer service area.
No.
They're definitely not doing that. So yeah, so kind of interesting. See if we get some information on that, or if things
Or maybe they
change
leave
in
it for
future.
the delivery service centers to make sure they're charged up.
Yeah, I wonder, they must just be getting them out of the yellow, unless, like you said, if it saves them time at the delivery, then they can just do it all the way, and then, oh, well, sorry, it delivered at 62%. That's your problem. Go deal with it.
Yeah, they need superchargers that move along the production line with the cars.
That's right.
charging them
There
as
you
they're
go.
built.
or long cords that just follow the
Yeah.
car as it goes through the different stages. Yeah. With that, Casey's got our next story about AI Day and what's happening with AI Day.
Yeah, so it was supposed to show up on August 19th, 1 year from the last AI Day. And, well, Elon tweeted, and so that's not happening. It's hoping that we're going to see it by September 30th, because he thinks that the Optimus Prime prototype may be ready by then, and that it won't look anything like the dancer that we saw on stage.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if this is going
Or
to be
Texas.
radically different. Like if this is going to be like a first stage production of, maybe a robot arm and a torso or something. Like it's not even going to be. It's just going to be able to do a little bit of functionality, I would think.
Right.
But I'd be
Torso and
shocked if
hips.
it was if it was a fully standing unit. I'd be shocked.
Right.
I think it's probably going to be a leg or an arm, or some small combination of that. But
Yeah.
And what kind of difference do we expect it visually to look like? Probably just a mess of small parts and hydraulics mixed in. So
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting.
Well, if he says it doesn't look like the one that we saw at Texas or AI Day, those ones look similar enough, plus the dancer. I'm curious if that means that, like you said, it's going to be parts, or if it's going to be... I don't think it'll be that it's not finished. It's either going to be parts, or it'll be like he does with the cars, or it just looks better than the concept somehow.
I do have a word of advice for them, since they've said it's not going to be what we expect. Just do not show up with the T600.
Yes.
That's not going to be a good idea.
Oh, even better. Remember, everybody thought the Cybertruck was a joke? They could actually pull out the T600 and then, oh no, that's a joke. Because they do have Skynet, either at SpaceX or in Tesla at the basement, or not the basement, lower level.
Yeah, anything with red eyes is probably not a good idea either.
I agree with the no red eyes.
Like Sentry mode? What?
Exactly. Stay away from that.
Well, the cool thing is Andre Karpathy should be back from his sabbatical for this. Then
Yeah.
And we'll know for sure if he's coming back. I'm sure he's coming back.
Yeah, he hasn't said he's not. It'd be a little weird to stretch it out and then not come back.
There was some speculation, though, as soon as he left, like how many other people said they were going on sabbatical and never came back.
Yeah, but he unlike the rest, like he didn't get like a reprieve. He just kept working, just not for Tesla. He's like, all right, I've studied this, and here's this model I've tried, and here's this new technique. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is like, yeah, I sat by the beach for like
I was
3
drinking
weeks,
margaritas underneath the palm
and
tree.
I realized that Elon has a whip, and then I I decided not to come back.
Yeah.
Exactly. Next, we've got a story about employees. Casey, what's this about?
And Elon cracking the whip. So Elon insulted a bunch of people by suggesting that folks that are working from home are lazy and faking the funk.
Dialing it in.
Right. As a home worker, I took offense to that. There are certain circumstances where work from home doesn't work, and there are cases where we've seen almost all of the studies and surveys show that the people working from home work more. They either have the same output or they feel so self-conscious about it they end up working more. And the only way it doesn't really work is if you have to get hands-on with, like, you can't build the car at home, and you can't service customers at home face-to-face. But we've seen like coffee shops where they couldn't hire anybody, and they put an iMac on the desk, and somebody in India is servicing the customers as they come in. So what happened there was that didn't do what Elon wanted and get enough people to leave. So the next couple of days went by, we then saw a message leak from Elon's email saying that of the salaried people, 10% of them are going to be let go, while they're going to increase the hourly employee headcount. So that means more people at the factory, more people installing roofs, et cetera, et cetera. And thankfully, they're not touching the service center for the technicians. Yes,
right.
Because they're hourly.
I just saw an ad yesterday posted that Tesla here in Portland is hiring at the service center.
Yes.
So and I snapped a picture of it, and it's shared on our feed on our Facebook page.
There you go. And this isn't the first time that Tesla's done a 10% head slice.
Right.
Thankfully, they were a little more discreet about it this time, because last time that's when service started to suck, because they let 10% of everybody go, including well-performing salespeople, well-performing service people, good techs. And it's like, well, where is Bobby? He always got 10 times as many cars. Oh, well, he was on the list. Bye.
Mm-hmm. That's too bad. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we lost a lot.
So it's a kind of, and wasn't Tesla, or I guess Elon had indicated through a tweet as well at about the same time that they were looking to improve service in North America. Yes. They were looking to get 2/3 of the vehicles in the day of and service the day of. Mm-hmm. So they're looking to improve. So definitely cutting hourly wage workers that are in service would probably not work towards that goal at all.
Yeah, to quote Musk, he said, "Note that this will not apply to anyone actually building cars, battery packs, or installing solar." So we also have to assume that it doesn't touch AI either, because that would be stupid.
Right, but I mean, there could be some
like
people
a middle manager in AI, maybe.
Yeah, there could be. This is one of the reasons that Tesla is so capital efficient. If you work there, you are adding value to the company, or you're walking out the door. Yep. So you're either effectively managing a large team and leading them and giving them what they need to get their jobs done, or you're actually on the line building a vehicle or installing it on the roof or servicing someone's vehicle. They don't have a lot of middle managers compared to other companies this size.
Right.
And a lot of the we looked at the CEO compensation. He's not getting a huge salary. He's getting stock. And so
he's not even doing that this quarter, is he?
Yeah. So I don't know how many, if all the tranches have paid out, and
there might be one or two left, but it's not ready to vest yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he said that there's no plans for an immediate new CEO compensation package.
Right.
So he's still the richest man in the world, and yet somehow I'm here arguing that he's not getting paid.
He's not being compensated.
but yeah, it applies. So many. If you can have, this company could be twice as much headcount if you just added layers and layers of middle management and more mm-hmm. C-suite, and then they all sat around and had big meetings at off-site locations, like we saw when VW was trying to get something done. Okay, they had 250 managers sitting around arguing about what the path forward was going to be and whether or not Herbert Diess should do what he says or not. I mean, that's just not how Tesla runs. They're lean and mean. And even as they grow bigger, they've kept that lean and mean attitude.
And amazingly, when they fire people, the stock goes down, whereas when everybody else does layoffs, the stock goes up.
Yeah, that is ironic.
Yeah. So somebody, Illuminati on the Teslarati article, came up with a timeline that sounds about right. So 2016, Tesla-owned Solar City cuts workforce by 20%. June 12th, 2018, Tesla to cut 9% of jobs in difficult but necessary reorg. January 11th, 19, SpaceX is laying off 10% of its workers. January 18, 19, Tesla is laying off its workforce by 7%. June 3rd, 2022, Elon Musk says he's reducing the salaried headcount by 10%. The usual routine, he says.
Yeah, and Elon has talked about in the past too about other companies that have done that, where
He seemed to like
reevaluate.
Microsoft doing it. Yeah,
they reevaluate 10% of the workforce, on an annual basis. So
doing it every
not
year.
a surprise.
Doing it every year is a really bad idea. Microsoft and a couple others kept it going way too long because at that point, the people left are the people that are good at swimming through the bureaucracy, not your best workers. It's good to do this when you have a new CEO come in, because then you can get rid of the chaff. But you don't want to keep doing it more than 6 times in a row. I've been looking into this with the Microsoft stack ranking system, and then when Elon said he liked it, I was like, oh boy.
Yeah, GE was known for this as well.
Them especially. They did it before Microsoft, I think. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So interesting. We'll see if next year brings the same thing or a shakeup. But you're right, I believe, Casey, that this is probably something that you shouldn't keep going with year after year after year,
right?
Without any modification to it.
If he does it by surprise like this, just randomly, that still does okay. But like you said, on a schedule, you get the people who are good at playing the game and not the people who are good at taking care of your customers.
Yeah. Well, this week as well, if you're interested in some long viewing, is Silicon Valley Tesla Club managed to get an interview with Elon for a couple of hours. And they've published their first video, one of 4, I believe. And they are going to be putting up these hour-long videos. Okay, I got 4 from Casey and 3 from you, Patrick. It's one or the other. I'm not sure.
Part 1 of 3
episodes, but
part 1 of the
hours.
3-part series was released on Twitter today.
Okay,
that's what it says in the article.
Okay, so 4+ hours.
4 hours of it broken into 3 videos.
Right.
So the first video that was released there today or yesterday, this week actually, was about the early days for Tesla. So recounting the trials and tribulations of the vehicle maker in its early days with its early partners. So if you're not sure about the Tesla story back in the beginning, this is a good one to watch and take in some information that, as Elon states it, what he saw the situation as in those early days. And of course, it gets interesting when you think about how close, how small Tesla was to begin with, whether or not they were a company, what they were aiming at before Elon and JB got involved with it. There were some differences of opinions as to what market they were going after. Kind of interesting. So if you've got some time, I would definitely suggest watching it. It's an interesting watch if you're interested in the history of Tesla.
Yeah. Hockey Day must had another one of his Martin Eberhard rants.
Oh, I was gonna say
one of the worst people he's ever worked with, and he's like, and I've worked with some really bad people. So if he's the worst, that's really saying something. That's a hard bar to cross. But geez, I just you've won. That's over. He's gone. Stop punching down. It just doesn't. It's not a good look. Yeah.
And he's had the rant before too. So
yes, he has.
Like, right. How many times are you going to rehash it? Like, really?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we know he's right because the whole board voted with him on that. So it's like, just let it go.
Yeah.
Let it
go. But at the same time,
I
think part of what might be rubbing him wrong is like all of the anti-capitalists, I guess. I don't know what you'd call them. The people on the ultra far left that have been ragging on him for 3 years ago he didn't pay any taxes, and why does he have so much money? Those people keep saying, by the way, he didn't even start the company, and he's like, well, there was nothing to the company. It was a paper company.
Yeah.
So that really gets in his craw.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he again. he just needs to let that roll off his back like a duck in water.
Yes.
And there's no reason to be offended by that. You should not have that fragile of an ego that somebody's saying you weren't even a founder. You know the truth. You've told the story. They let them believe whatever they want to believe just because you weren't part of the company the day that some paper was signed and two guys had an idea. That's not a company at that point. It wasn't until he came in with funding and
JB.
some of the, and somebody who had the technology like JB. Yeah. So there was one pretty funny story in there how they were using a barbecue grill company for some of their manufacturing.
The one in Thailand. I haven't watched the story yet, but I will. I had a rough week.
Yeah, so it
Very
is
good.
it is worth hearing the origins of the company from Musk's perspective.
I was wondering why they were building those batteries out in Thailand without proper there was not enough shelter from the elements, and turns out this because they were a barbecue company, and then you don't need
Because they didn't know about sprung structures yet, did they?
that too.
Yeah.
Oh man,
it's funny how many things went wrong for Tesla, and yet they still made it through. And in fact, you might argue that only because so many things went wrong, they learned all these lessons the hard way, that they're as smart as they are as a company culture. And they've paved the road for a lot of other companies to follow in those footsteps. They hire ex-Intel Tesla employees, and that they kind of just inherit a bunch of that learning as they do that.
And they're doing it well. You've got Ford that's constantly referencing Tesla, Volkswagen the same, and then you've got on the opposite side of that spectrum, you've got folks like what did Workhorse became? Lordstown Motors. They sold their factory. It's like how are you going to make cars if you don't own a factory?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Well, speaking of that legacy, Patrick, Model S just has a birthday.
That's right. Yes. So I wrote a story in my blog about Model S turning 10 and its evolution and how it's changed over the years. And this one here is on Inside EVs by Juan Felipe Manos. And I'm sure I said that wrong. But he has a very different perspective on the evolution of the Model S than I did.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, this you certainly should read this for yourself on Inside EVs. But at the end, he's saying that competition is gaining ground. Why is Tesla taking so long to launch a new Model S?
They just did.
Yeah, exactly. That their sales are declining, and that like last year, the Porsche Taycan sales were nearly double that of the Model S. And meanwhile, China has the BYD Han EV sold 79,000 units, almost 4 times as much.
So Porsche managed to almost double the Model S when they weren't building any?
Yes, exactly.
All right, go ahead. I had that one stuck at me.
No, yeah, that's exactly. I don't understand why Inside EVs would publish this like this. It just doesn't make sense to me. It's like, okay, you're maybe an auto analyst and only looking at the spreadsheets. You don't know the story. You don't know the reason why they weren't producing it. So if you want the real history of the Model S and over its 10 years and how it's evolved, yes, go to a better source, carswithcords.net, and look for Model S. And it was kind of sad. I mean, the Tesla, the 2012 Model S, in a lot of ways, is still what other car companies are trying to catch up to, with over-the-air updates and large screens and good range and fast charging. So, and then every one of those metrics has gotten better for Tesla over the years. And not only that, the inflation-adjusted price has gotten cheaper. So today you're able to get a much better Model S for less, with more range, faster 0 to 60, more features. You could even throw in full self-driving on top of that, buying that, and it's still cheaper. So, which wasn't offered in that vehicle back then.
Yep.
So yeah, I totally disagree with this guy.
So I see what's wrong with Mr. Munoz. I'm at their website, and they specialize in customer portals, automotive manufacturers, automotive dealerships, fleet and leasing companies, and component suppliers. So everything that Tesla doesn't need or want.
Yeah,
he's ragging on his competition.
The only thing I could take from his article that was partially, I guess, true would be the exterior of the car.
Yeah.
Like really, there was a refresh that was just done about a year ago. You're right. They couldn't make them. There was a whole bunch of part issues to get the vehicles out there in the hands of people. In fact, the Model X is still in that situation today.
Yes.
But the S, thankfully, had gotten the things rolling, and they had that complete refresh. The inside has changed completely. The
yoke steering wheel,
the screen orientation, a second screen in the back. Like Patrick said, all these additions, 400 miles of range. Like all these things have changed to the car. So
yeah.
And there's even there's a slight difference on the outside near the front. Like that's, there's a slight difference. But you could be excused if you didn't notice it.
And this isn't the first manufacturer to do that either. Like they'll completely gut the inside, and then on the outside there's a new paint color. It's like, well, that's some citrus lime. You didn't know that's the new one?
If you had limited resources to do something and complete something, I think they've chosen the right way to do it. Let's improve its performance. Let's put new motors in it. Let's do the yoke. Let's do the screen orientation. Let's add a screen. All this stuff adds to the ability of the car, and instead of completely redoing the outside of the car, this is probably the better way to do it. You can always make the outside different at some point in the future, but building the car from the base out is probably the better way to do it if you're limited by resources.
There's another knock-on effect to that as well, because they changed everything under the skin as well. Only the skin stayed the same, and even then it's just the same shape. The vehicle is wider than it used to be. The knock-on effect is if you look out and they all look the same, that helps to keep your residual value on your older vehicles higher. So all the used cars they have in inventory are still worth more than if a brand new, completely different looking car came out. All the cars they're about to turn in on lease, they get to continue to enjoy this high inflated used car market right now. You can buy the used cars for more than the new cars still, which is ridiculous.
It is, yeah. So just because Tesla didn't come out with a sedan 2.0 and give it a new name and whatever, doesn't mean that the vehicle has not evolved by any means.
Yeah, if they redid the Roadster and it looked exactly like the original one and was almost the same size, then you could say that they're out of ideas, because that would be a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, our next story is.
I like that. My Tesla Weekend says the lease returns have worked out well. Further proof that Elon's a time traveler.
Yeah. It's the next story is kind of perplexing. We know that Tesla has spent a great deal of money and effort in Texas. They've built a new Gigafactory. They've moved company headquarters. They have, SpaceX has come along. The Boring Company has come along to Texas. And then the first thing that we got is that the Texas legislature didn't get together and allow Tesla to sell cars within the state without them having to leave the state and come back, which is kind of crazy. And we know that the legislature only gets together once every 2 years. So we've got over a year to wait for them to possibly get that on the docket for next time. And we don't know even if it will, but
they'll find some stuff to offend a bunch of people instead of actually helping the people working in their state.
But what happened this week is another weird thing that Texas has done. They have implemented a rebate for EV purchasers in the state of Texas to a tune of up to $2,500. But Tesla is excluded from this. And get this. The reason they're being excluded, not because of their cost, it's you can get a Bugatti and get the rebate if it was electric.
Right. Well, there's a Bentley that's on the list. It costs $170,000, and yet you can still, it still qualifies for this program.
Wow.
What they've done is they've pandered to that group we know as the auto dealers, and this group, just like in the previous, I believe, problem that Tesla has indicated that the rebate is only good if you have a dealership that can apply that rebate. So since Tesla is just company stores, there's no dealer network. That means the EV
They're not even
rebate
stores in Texas because
is
it's illegal
no
to sell
good.
them in
They're
Texas.
galleries. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, this worked. These two work together really well. You were just talking about how this cars are not technically sold in the state. They go to another state and they come back. So this incentive applies to cars that are sold in the state. Well, the dealerships have blocked that already, so they didn't have to do anything special to block this incentive from applying to Tesla.
I wonder if that gives them what do you call it when you have grounds to sue because you've been damaged now?
Oh,
because now they have been.
right. Yeah. Now they actually have damages, where before they just had this inconvenience. They couldn't say we've lost X number of sales.
Right.
But yeah, now and every Texan who would have qualified it has a $2,500 lawsuit, and I smell a class action lawsuit coming, probably from Austin.
Right.
Yeah, but this is ridiculous. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. They've brought all these good-paying jobs to Texas. They've set up everything for Texas to be headquarters, and man, Tulsa's looking pretty good at this point, based on what's been going on. Like, I understand the population in Tulsa is not the same. You probably wouldn't get the workers that Tesla knew they needed. They needed a strong, growing community where they could pull a lot of workers from, because they're going to employ a lot of workers. You know, as Giga Texas grows, we're probably talking 10, 15,000 people eventually that will be working at that plant. Yeah. But it's weird. It really is why as a governor you would entice Tesla to come, and then you're kind of, you pulled the welcome mat right from underneath their feet. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, and like, what do you get out of it other than the taxes off those paychecks? It's like, I don't even think they gave them any incentives to move there, did they?
Oh, I'm sure they did.
Well, nothing public like Tulsa and the others that were in the running. And then now Tulsa's throwing their temper tantrum. Like, if they had just held off on making it illegal to sell Teslas in Oklahoma, they might have actually got
what is wrong with these people? Like, I just don't understand it. Like,
they could have just left Musk to get pissed off and leave Texas. And where's it going to go? There's already a site prepped.
Yeah, like, I just don't get it, man. Like, what state is these Tesla's good for business, but man, they're really slapping them with this stuff. I just don't get it. It's just it's something that's really perplexing as to how they can welcome them and then kind of slap them. Like, it's really weird.
So My Tesla Weekend says that the county gave them $60 million over 10 years. So just a small bump, basically, compared to what was on the table for them. And that Hockey Day asked if the governor wasn't at the opening, and My Tesla Weekend says that Cruz and Abbott were both there. I was going to suggest that, because I didn't know that Abbott was there, I was going to suggest that even if he wasn't, he cozied up real quick.
Yeah, but Cruz goes to even birthday parties, so.
Cruz. I don't know if you. But Abbott, he's a little more selective in who he attaches himself to.
So this is going to be interesting in about a year when that legislature sits again, as to whether or not it will change. If it doesn't change again and they have to sit out for another 2 years, wow, that'll be.
So it's a Rivian. Move on.
Yeah, it's like that's unbelievable. We'll have to see.
I love this. Only the birthday parties are in Cancun.
He's got that travel budget. He loves it. Yeah. So we shall see if time changes what Texas, how they treat Tesla. But to this point, it hasn't been all that good.
Right.
Just and really, is the automotive dealership lobby, is it that big in Texas? that
big in every state.
they're able to just push their will. Like, wow,
I mean, it's the second biggest purchase that every American makes. That every American that buys a car. I mean, because the only thing more expensive is your home and a boat. But not
like
everybody buys a boat.
Obviously, California is number one when it comes to sales and autos. Texas is like number 2 or 3. They're pretty high on the list. But so that means there's a lot of automotive dealerships through the state. But I don't know. It's not like Tesla is going to sell these cars anyways. They're going to sell them to some people in Texas. Would it be better if this weird drive them out, drive them back wasn't in place? Yes, it would be. But people are still going to be getting the Teslas. It just seems that Tesla is fighting, or Texas is fighting a losing battle, because they're not banning the sale of cars in the state. They're not banning the service of the car in the state. It's it's
Tesla can't service the cars in the state. Another company has to do that. Tesla just happens to own that other company.
Well, is that how they can get around this selling of cars?
No, unfortunately,
we have dealerships that just happen to be owned by us.
Right. They got protection against that, unfortunately. So JT says that the dealer lobby must have cranked up the contributions big time, and My Tesla Weekend points out that politicians are shockingly cheap to buy. Hockey Day asked how many dealerships are in Texas, and answered their own question at 1,400 dealers in Texas. And don't forget, they're also the largest dealers, or so they claim, in the nation, because everything's bigger in Texas. Politicians make themselves easy to buy.
Yeah, so kind of insane, but that's the way things are shaping up in Texas currently. So we will see if time changes this or if it remains the same.
Yeah.
Next story, Boring Company, which of course is now headquartered in Texas too. They have proposed a couple of projects. They've proposed one in Texas for an airport run in Austin, and they've also proposed something in San Antonio. But this one, and you guys can tell me, does this make sense? They did propose an 80-mile run between San Antonio and Austin now to loop up with those systems. So they want to make an 80-mile run between the two cities. And I've been to Texas
I would hate to be a safety driver on that.
I've been to San Antonio. I've been to Austin. It's a busy traffic state. There's a lot of traffic, but I wouldn't say that it's overrun. It's not like Los Angeles.
This would be a good application for the first automated.
Like Dallas Fort Worth would be kind of like Los Angeles, but when you get further in the state, there's more distance. There's more space, I would say. But regardless, this offer, of course, really would possibly reduce the time between the travel of those two cities. If you're in a tunnel going one direction and autopilot was operational, so you could go even faster than the normal speed limit, and you know that everyone's going the same speed in the same direction with electric vehicles underneath the earth. So certainly in theory, it would be a faster commute or a faster drive. But
it would have to be faster than the Boring Loop at 30 miles an hour. But it also, being 80 miles would be kind of hellacious on the safety drivers, especially if it's mostly straight. So this would probably be a really good implementation for them to first test out the.
I would think it would have to be. I would think there's no way they'd want a human pilot in a tunnel doing 80 miles an hour or higher with very little margins on both sides. There's not a chance they would put a human in there.
Or an hour if you do 60 miles an hour. Over an hour if you do 60 miles an hour,
and just highway hypnosis of a tunnel. There's no.
Can you imagine that? If you think a highway is hypnotic, the tunnel would be just crazy.
Yes. Oh man.
Or they light the whole thing in LED, so it's just constantly going strobing.
Well, you'll still have the drains and air ducts.
Scenery.
Yeah, crazy.
But yeah, so that's kind of interesting that they've proposed this to the two cities. We'll have to see if something comes of this. But
with the fuel prices, the way they...
as time goes along,
yeah,
and if the automation factor does come into place, I can see that that's a possibility to do something like this. But really, is this more of a catch some media eye on this, possibly?
Maybe.
Could be some of that. Could be some free publicity. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that they were proposed such a long tunnel.
Yeah, because that was the big difference between loop and hyperloop. So loop is, and so this is not going to be evacuated or vacuum.
Well, it's a little short for hyperloop. Long for loop, but short for hyperloop.
Right. So it's I wonder
it's in between.
Yeah.
So I wonder, like, that's not that far a distance that even people might use regional air, unless you're like somebody who helicopters everywhere. I was going to say the fuel savings from aviation, but it's only 80 miles. I mean, I imagine there are people who fly it.
Like, I think the speed limit in Texas is 75 or 80 already. Like
75 to 85, depending on what road.
Yeah. So, we're talking an hour
with no traffic.
Two cities on the surface with no traffic.
It all depends on traffic. Yeah.
Yeah. But
I mean, like Houston has some horrible traffic.
Yeah. Either horrible traffic or this is a proof of concept.
Yeah. So next story is CyberTruck paid a visit to Moss Landing. Our friend, is Derek? Derek is the one, or is it
David?
Or David?
David is the Eric is the one that you see most
close to Moss Landing. David, maybe. No, I think it's Derek. JT. I have no idea. Whoever's in the chat, let us know. Are you near Moss Landing?
Are people in the chat? I'm sorry. I thought you were. There's a. Never mind. I was confused. So
the Cybertruck showed up at the Moss Landing, I guess, opening ceremony with PG&E as they cut the ribbon. So it would be. It was there, and Casey, do you have a couple photos of it? Possibly.
I have them on me, but I have to find them. Yeah.
Okay.
So...
It's because somebody went by the front of the truck, took a couple photos of the exterior, and snuck the camera to the inside and took a couple of photos.
Yeah.
So what was surprising was that or maybe not surprising, depending on your viewpoint, but the binnacle display appeared in the photos.
So like on my legs.
Yeah. So we've got a binnacle in the Cybertruck, and of course this means nothing because of course these are all just prototypes at this point. There's nothing that's been set in stone, as you can tell by that nice long wire leaving from the middle of the steering wheel.
There's no airbag there.
Maybe that's a new thing they're not going to do. And you notice the pedals are kind of very squarish.
Yeah.
So that's kind of interesting.
They've got rid of the marble. I like that.
Yep. The marble didn't work for me at all. Never did. Looked kind of weird. But they're back to a more traditional inside dash. But the 17-inch monitor remained, and of course this new binnacle. So that's kind of interesting to see them modify this thing or continue to modify it as it gets a little closer to production. So and of course we're wondering if we're going to get maybe a show and tell on the vehicle before they get to announce production. Is there going to be some sort of an event in the future? We don't know, but we're hoping. And is that wiper that you're pointing out? Does that look like about half the size of what the other one was?
Correct.
Yeah.
The pedals are very square now. That might hurt on my socks because I drive in socks.
So there's a few changes. I can't see the windshield wiper change to a small one. That would be problematic because at that height, it looks like your eyes probably would be seeing the breach between wiped and unwiped windshield.
Model X has a really short windshield wiper for its size as well, so it wouldn't be unprecedented. And I'm noticing these are basically the Tesla seats, same as on Model S, Model X, and 3 and Y, but with different. 3 and Y have different upholstery than S and X, so it's closer to S and X, and it's got the risers just like X, so they're probably Model S seats basically.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So.
And the dash changed to me. I know you guys said you didn't like the marble, but that marble was actually recycled paper.
Right, I did like what it was.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the way it looked. Yeah. Maybe a telescope's when in use. That's a good idea. And then it would be nice to have the binnacle, but the cost, given the cost question, would drive that up. Well, I mean, how much would it cost to buy screens at Tesla scale?
Hey, they dropped the lumbar support on the passenger side.
I found out they dropped the tray inside the Model 3 armrest. I didn't realize that.
The tray's now good. Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So a binnacle would cost a lot more than a tray, I'm sure.
Yes. And then Hockey Day points out that the wiper should be on both sides, like I guess a Honda or old GM.
Right. So they actually had 2 blades on one arm.
They did
in the past.
Previously, yeah.
Yeah.
Or no blades, depending on which one.
There was one with no blades. Or is that you're talking about their patent with the lasers?
No! Literally, they didn't have one on there because they never drove it in the rain.
Yeah. They decided that it would only sell in states that it doesn't rain it. So.
Here's your free squeegee.
Yep. We will see.
Oh man!
And I'm sure there's going to be multiple changes and there's going to be debates within the company too as to what do we go with finally? What is the final design? Are we keeping this? Are we dropping that? Or are we changing this? That's all still got to happen. So
yeah. My Tesla weekend says our research shows that people don't really use the back seats, so they're gone.
Yeah, the back seats are now just made out of cardboard because no one really uses them. They're just there to look nice.
Yeah.
Next, Casey, what's going on with FSD? There seems to be a shakeup going on.
Yes. So the FSD beta 10.12.2 is started to ship out to more and more people. I've seen people as low as 96 or 97 get it. Allegedly, people with 95 are supposed to be getting it. So maybe if you have a 95, let us know. If you don't have it yet, then consider it probably in the next group of rollouts that they'll start doing the 95s. If they listen to us, but they don't always listen to us.
So there are people as low as 91 that are claiming they've got it.
Oh, okay. So they've already done that now since the last time I talked to somebody.
Yeah, this Drive Tesla Canada article, one person indicated they got in with a 91. So we will have to see if that is correct. But it looks like they're rolling it out further. Elon had talked about having 100,000 people on the program, and of course expanding that to 10 times to 1 million. So it's looking like they're going to start rolling that out to others. So if you are interested in the FSD beta, it might be time to start driving like grandma because they're giving them out a little bit freer than they were before. So you don't need a 99 anymore. It's getting down towards 90. So keep an eye on that if you have interest.
Exactly.
And if you get it, you should know it's beta.
It's beta.
It is not perfect. You can't just crawl in the back seat. You have to pay attention. I just got this new version, and it's much more confident. Like it doesn't go really slow around a corner. It takes the corner like a normal driver would. So it's a lot better. It still has problems with medians. I had to have it not hit one this morning, and there's just apparently there's a lot of medians in my neighborhood, and the car's not good at avoiding them yet.
Yeah, I was coming back from getting a salad sandwich, and the car there was a double left turn lane oncoming to me, and then the car wanted to turn right into the outermost left turn lane, even though it had cars coming all the way through. There was no gap for me to fit into.
Right. Yeah. Don't let it go when it does that. Hit the brake. Yeah,
right.
I did. Paying attention. Yeah. You did. Yeah.
I didn't want to involve this one in her first collision.
No.
But at the same time, there are other times where it's like there were 3 drives where I didn't even have to touch the turn signal, the accelerator, nothing. It just did the right thing perfectly the whole time, other than
Nice.
holding onto the wheel. You do have on the interior camera free cars like mine. They give you still 3 strikes and you're out. But on the cars with cameras inside, they've upgraded you to 5 strikes before you get out. But other folks are saying that those strikes are harder than they were before. So still do the right thing, just in case. You don't want to find out how strict they are or have not become.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's expanding and more being emitted into the program. We'll have to see if that makes a change. Obviously, they're feeling more confident in the upgrades that are going out. But as Patrick mentioned, this is still not automatic driving. Definitely pay attention. Definitely be on alert because as Patrick and Casey have mentioned several times, that sometimes when you're least expecting it, it may do the wrong thing. So you got to be ready to catch it.
Yeah. So the one example is on one of those drives where I didn't have to do anything. We got to the driveway of the business I was trying to go to, and it started to turn in. So I was like, okay, I need to take over for the parking lot. And it turned the signal back on and started to go back into traffic. It's like, yeah, we're not stopping here. So I took back over and took control. My Tesla weekend.
You get your waypoint. Let's just keep going.
Right. My Tesla weekend asked what makes a strike. It's varied, but one thing we know for sure is not holding the wheel and anything to do with the cell phone when you're in motion.
When you're driving.
The light screen. Yeah. And then Hockey Day said that Dojo must be up and running. That's a possibility, but the last time this came up, Elon said no, that was still on the NVIDIA cluster. But
yeah, we actually haven't heard that Dojo is up and running. They
may
be still testing with it.
December, yep.
Yeah, still testing with it, but I don't think it's up fully.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll let everybody know in that case.
Yeah. Next, we've been reporting this for a number of weeks, actually a couple months now. Giga Shanghai now, according to Tesla, is back up to regular production numbers. So since the lockdown and the ramp up again, they've now reached their regular production numbers. And I have a feeling they're going to be pushing harder because, of course, they're approaching a quarter end in about a month. And they're looking to get, gain back a little bit that they've lost. Probably not going to get it all back. But if they go above and beyond, as Fremont has been doing lately, they can catch some of that loss for the quarter. But in my mind, big deal. Even if they don't make their quarter as they thought they should, based on Shanghai running, like this, it's not a big deal because it's not like the Tesla plant's going anywhere. It's not like the customers are going anywhere. It's not like they're not selling every last model that they have, and there's a waiting list. So let's not overinflate this. This is something just to indicate that we had some unforeseen difficulties happen. We dealt with them the best we could, and now we're back up to speed. So clear sailing going forward. So let's
the numbers.
But it will break their streak. They've had I don't know what the number is, 15 quarters of every quarter producing more than the quarter before it. Well, and this might be their first down one.
It could be, but I have a feeling they could eke it out by one car just so they can say they did it.
Oh,
because at this point, Shanghai's running double shifts, so everywhere except for possibly Texas is running double shift. So, I mean, even Berlin, which is doing no cars compared to everywhere else, is on double shift.
Yeah.
Do you think this takes $2 million off the table? Because some of the high estimates were $2 million plus.
I don't think that Dave is going to come off of that $2 million based on 3 weeks of production, and so I'll stick with him on that.
Okay, good luck. I hope you're right. I'm not betting on it, but I hope you're right.
Yeah. Now here's an interesting claim. A BYD executive had indicated in a release that he claims that battery production, get this, for Tesla is coming soon to BYD. So BYD, of course, is a car manufacturer, right? They make cars in China. They do a number of things. I didn't know they had I assumed they had a battery wing themselves. I just didn't know if they would produce batteries for somebody else.
They started off as a battery company.
Oh, okay.
BYD was a battery company, and then they bought, I think it was Shenzhen Motors. So they were a battery company looking for new things to put their batteries in. So I actually looked into them a long time ago, like when I was shopping for my Leaf in 2010, 11. And I was so frustrated with the auto industry in general for not making EVs. And back then, Teslas were just too expensive for me to get. So I was looking for other alternatives, and BYD was like, oh, they had one. They had I think it was called the 5 and the 6 that were both coming soon. And so I was pretty excited about, hey, this is a company that doesn't have all that legacy baggage. They're a battery company, so of course they're going to try to make EVs. They're not going to be like, oh no, we have to maintain our ICE business, and so we're only going to sell compliance car volumes to make some just to pass some legal hurdle because some region required us to. So yeah, I've been pretty excited about BYD for a long time.
So they made cars before they made buses, or they made buses before they made cars?
They made cars first, I think so.
All right. And the 6 was the one that looked like the Ford Edge, right?
Oh, geez, those are some decade-old neurons. I don't remember exactly.
He hasn't accessed them too often.
Yeah.
So,
I remember, if it was, I remember that one. That was an interesting.
So of course, this is not a Tesla note. This is BYD that have said this, that they're going to be supplying Tesla with batteries. Didn't say what type of battery, but it's kind of interesting that they're going to be, or according to BYD executive, they're going to be supplying Tesla with batteries direct. Now, we know that Tesla has reached out to many different battery companies. In fact, Panasonic, their long-term partner, has already supplied Tesla with 4680 samples, ones that they've built, ones they're proposing to build, and Tesla is now testing those samples out based on the criteria they needed to fill. So, and Tesla, of course, has gone to LG. They've gone to other suppliers. They're even buying their own mines. So obviously they're trying to get batteries wherever they can. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if they went to BYD and said, can you make us some batteries? And if so, what would the price be and how many can you make us? So because Tesla is trying to lock up battery supply because they know they're going to be making hundreds of thousands of cars and they need batteries for all of them. So it doesn't surprise me they would go to other manufacturers that are currently outside of their sphere today.
I wonder if some of this was lost in translation, because one of the reports I saw here, a BYD senior vice president, her quote was, "We are good friends with Elon Musk and we are immediately ready to supply him with batteries." Whereas some of the others are saying that they will supply them soon, and this could have just been like saying that we're willing to versus we are.
Maybe.
Who knows? Yeah.
And Hockey Day, that's a good question. Are the Panasonic ones dry cells with the new Tesla? I would assume patented procedure. Not sure. But they did send them specifics that the batteries would have to comply to in order to move forward with it. So do dry cells perform any better than the old way of building cells? I don't know.
I think it's really just about manufacturing time and the space you need. So
right.
Panasonic is doesn't have those constraints, and I doubt they've gone to dry cells. They already know how to do it the other way. Why would they mess with that?
The other concern though is if they are looking at the upstream emissions and byproducts from their production, they might even if it doesn't save any money or last any longer, that might be a reason why they push for it, so they can keep their overall numbers down.
Yeah, that could be.
Yeah. Although I think cost is king. If Tesla's looking for batteries, they're going to want it to meet a certain cost threshold for sure. But we shall see if we get some of that information, because Panasonic's even talking about building another battery factory in the U.S. So that's even on the table. So
We
a lot
need
of stuff
batteries.
going on. A lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
Well, with that, Patrick, besides your article on the Model S, anything else to talk about?
Yeah, I hope Panasonic builds that factory because we need lots of batteries here because they're going to power so much of our future that is free from fossil fuels.
He got it in, Casey. He got it in right at the end.
He did.
As always, I'm with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at OEVA. We have a meeting tomorrow if you want to do that. And I blog at carswithcords.net. My latest one is Tesla's Eye in the Sky, talking about all these cars driving around that have cameras looking all over the place. What kind of cool stuff could they do? And this all started with a tweet about Amber Alerts. And we're looking for this kind of car with this license plate. Well, hey, if there were a bunch of Teslas that were driving around and they could spot that and report the location, it might save a kid's life. So, and that's just, one of a bunch of ideas in there. So check it out, throw in your ideas, and let's discuss them.
Very good. Very good. Casey, any shout outs this evening?
Well, I've got a show on Sunday at youtube.com/Casey Green, KACEYGREEN. The only video editing I did this week was I shortened the intro video for What Drives Us. If you're gonna watch that one, you'll see that over there. But I didn't edit any of my own pre-recorded videos because of the situation this week and me being the only one to watch this one for now. So that's where we're at. Also, happy birthday to Lee Moon. Thank you for the music. And my Tesla weekend says I'm very close to Oregon, but my son graduates tomorrow. Another time, I hope. All right.
Cool.
Yeah.
Patrick, are your meetings strictly in person, or is there a hybrid meeting as well?
They've been all online. Last month was the first one we did in person in a long time.
Was it hybrid?
I don't know. I missed it. So yeah. They were talking about setting it up and having someone's phone there in the room that for the rest of the Zoom calls, but I don't know what ended up happening.
Very good. Maybe you can fill us in next week when you get back.
Yeah.
Well, with that, we want to thank everyone for watching. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up on the video. Please press that subscribe if you haven't. It helps us out. We ask every week. It doesn't cost you a dime and supports us, so we would really appreciate that. And with that, we will catch up with you next week, and together we will find out what's happening in the Tesla life.
Happy birthday, Lee Moon!
Stay positive, test negative.
Have a great week, everyone.